Is the spokesperson for the Kenyan presidency, Manoah Esipisu. Thank you so much for making time to join us. You know, President Kenyatta has often said, especially when coming under criticism, I beg your pardon, from Western nations, that they must look at this as a negotiation between equals. Going into this particular visit, does the presidency view this as a meeting of equals?
Oh, well, it's a meeting between two sovereign states. Two sovereign states in a modern world in which everyone has interests. Kenya would have interests it's pursuing. The United States would have interests it's pursuing. We look at our relationship as one of partnership. We do not envisage ourselves as going into a meeting and asking for this favor or that favor. We're not asking for this aid or that aid. We see ourselves as having some interests, and the United States as having some interests, and as partners converging on what it is that is beneficial for both our countries.
The Cabinet Secretary for Foreign Affairs today outlined basically 4 key areas, and I'll read them out: infrastructure, health, taxation, and the extension of visas as part of those key bilateral talks that are expected to take place. What exactly is Kenya going to be looking for in these 4 areas?
I think first, to start with, you've got to look at what the President said at his news conference earlier in the week. He outlined security and investment as the twin issues that would really drive the discussions at a bilateral level between President Obama and President Kenyatta. And from Ambassador Amina Mohamed's discussions today, there are several areas in infrastructure. Obviously, I can't go into details because these things will be outlined tomorrow when the signings are being done. Top line. Okay. We always have said we're looking at investment into infrastructural areas. Energy is one. Areas that affect our Northern Corridor plans are another. Right. We look to ensure that we bring efficiency and effectiveness to our transport system. So obviously these things would be what we are looking at. In terms of visa, I think that is one area of Kenya's complaint usually, because you can only get a maximum of a 1-year visa to the U.S. As a Kenyan, and that is one of the things that has been under review, and a new agreement is to be signed tomorrow.
Right. Let's talk about security, because you've mentioned that. And last year, I believe, on the sidelines of the U.S.-Africa summit that took place, the U.S. mentioned that, you know, Kenya would be part of the Security Governance Initiative, I think a $65 million deal. What specifically is Kenya looking to get out of that deal? And bear in mind, with countries like Nigeria, when they were pitting for things, for instance, like helicopters to help them deal with Boko Haram, etc., one of the things that the U.S. government said is that we can't grant you that because we have issues with your governance-related issues. So what exactly are you looking to get from this $65 billion arrangement? What is Kenya looking for, and are you concerned at all that governance issues may limit our bargaining power?
I think from where we stand, again, it's a question of partnership. Security is important for us, but security is important for the United States. We see ourselves as the frontier on security issues on the region. So if we get a slap sometimes on your face from terror-type groups, the target is, we are the primary target because we are in this geopolitical space. But we often get beat because people see us as proxies of the United States. And so to that extent, when we enter a negotiation, there is a level of comfort, I believe, to believe that we are looking at a situation where the U.S. knows exactly what the issues are with our security. We know what the issues are. Are you asking me what specifically we are asking for on the table? Yes, are you looking for
greater intelligence sharing? Are you looking for training, equipment? What are you looking for?
I think from a security perspective, we'll always look for greater capacity building. So training and equipment falls within that realm. But intel sharing is always the biggest thing when it comes to security, because how far you cooperate, how far you train, how skilled your people are, those are the things that determine how well you're doing.
Let's talk about how skilled people are. And When I started off in this profession donkey years ago, we won't talk about that, but the picture of Kenya was that of, you know, young people. We have this robust youth population who are well trained, you know, they are English speaking, and that really we have the cream of professionalism, if you like. But a recent study by the Brookings Institute is placing youth unemployment at double the national rate of unemployment. So that would come up to about 25% or so. And the worry is that it will breed instability, that interventions that are taking place in other sectors are not necessarily paying off in terms of youth employment. What is the opportunity in entrepreneurship, and how can we convert again youth to actually be, you know, the jewel on our crown instead of a ticking time bomb?
I think that youth space is one we acknowledge as important to nurture, one we acknowledge as important to promote. And that's part of the reason government has set out specific high-profile measures to encourage youth entrepreneurship. So if you look at your UWEZO fund, if you look at your youth empowerment fund, if you look at the government's effort with AGPO, the procurement plan, 30% procurement to young people, to women, to people with disabilities. This all is meant to encourage young people to move away from being job seekers to job creators. Of course, they need to be trained, they need information, they need mentorship, they need encouragement. And we are putting in place measures to help along that path as well. In terms of other measures, you would see our very robust National Youth Service program. This year alone, I think there have been almost 30,000 young people taken into that program. That is from 4,000 a year just 2 years ago. So you will see that there are many projects that government has done to try to bring young people to the mainstream, to try to encourage young people to be entrepreneurs and to give them direct employment, as is the case with the NYS.
Yeah, I guess the question is always about the uptake of the same and whether it's actually, you know, denting the unemployment rate, which, as I mentioned earlier, studies saying is growing among the youth. But as we wind up, and I want to stay with the economy, we're expecting that this particular visit will see some sort of mega trade deals, increase perhaps FDI between, you know, from the states to Kenya. But there's always the concern that it is the small businesses that are left out in this discussion about Kenya's economic growth. There is another survey that basically says that we are still at 40% of the population living below the poverty line, earning about 125 shillings a day. And when, you know, these two presidents sit down and talk, where does the ordinary mwananchi, who is not accredited to attend GS Summit, isn't, you know, perhaps skilled in technology and all those other big areas where we expect robust investment to go to, where do they fall in these grand plans? That person is the target for these grand plans. When you get big business discussing, they're discussing investment. Only a week and a half ago, there were 8 billionaires here discussing investment in energy, non-grid power supply, so that in the rural areas, our people are able to connect to electricity, they're able to promote their small businesses, and they're able to start contributing to the economy in a positive way. If you look at companies like General Electric, companies like IBM, they are putting a lot of money in tech here, and as you know, technology, innovation, those are some of our key areas of growth. When these areas begin to grow, there is always the trickle-down effect in economic terms. Other people, other industries are brought along. If you look at AGOA, which President Obama just signed at the end of last month, that puts 6,000 new products on the table for Kenyans to export to the U.S. It means if we can harness that opportunity, there is a real opportunity to grow. That trickle down we're all waiting for. Thank you so much for your time, Manoah Esipisu, the spokesman for the presidency. Hussein.